What does it mean to What does it mean to you to be a freedom fighter for social justice?
Well, um, it brings meaning to your life that you have a purpose and you want to leave the world a better place for your children and to feel proud of who you are. That even one person counts.
What was your childhood like in Vietnam?
I grew up in a big family. In Vietnam, that's an average. Parents with 6 children. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters, actually 7 children. 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And I was the middle daughter. My name, Kim, means gold. And my middle name is P-H-U-O-N-G. It means direction.
Yeah.
And so in Vietnam, when parents name children, they have a purpose. They, like the girls, they name them by flowers that, depict beauty. But for me, for some reason, my father named me Golden Direction. And it turned out to be true because I was the only child in the family that graduated from college and got to come to the United States at a young age. And later on, I sponsored all of my family to the United States. 11 family members. So the name, when my parents named me, they try to kind of give you a purpose. And I always grew up knowing that I would be some sort of a leader, provide good directions for others. So I'm the only one who graduated from college, and I'm the only one who came here. And then 10 years later, I became a U.S. citizen, and I sponsor all my family. In Vietnam, there is a very distinctive role between men and women. When I grew up, I always had the sense that men were treated as a better than women. And my mother was very traditional. She only had a 3rd grade education, and she always believed that the women belong at home. And my brothers, all older brothers, always treated us as if, this is your job. You wash dishes, you cook, and you make sure that the men are well fed. So even in Vietnam, I had the sense that as a woman, I have to do something. Because I don't want to be a lesser person than a man. And fortunately, I had a father who really believed strongly in education. And he always say that if a woman wants to be as equal as a man, you have to get yourself an education. So when I had the opportunity to become a foreign exchange student, I came here to Vancouver, Washington, and I attended Evergreen High School. I always said that I wanted to get that education. My father always wanted to go to college and become a teacher. And the thing that really changed my life, I was here in 1971 as an exchange student. And I lived with an American family, a white family. And in Vancouver, which is a small town, you don't see a lot of racial issues. And I always thought of America as a utopia. So then at the end of my year here as an exchange student, they took us on a bus trip. This is an international group of students from all over the world. 80 countries participated. So a group of us, were all high school students. They took us to New York City at the end of the year. We visited the United Nations. We went to, Central Park. We went to all the beautiful places in New York City. Until at the end of the bus tour, they took us to Harlem. And I remember very well, this is in the 70s, right? 1972. I remember very well that the bus driver told us to close the door. And because they said, okay, make sure you close the door, make sure you don't gawk at people, make sure that you don't make any gestures, because you can create like you don't look at people as if they were, but it's not. It just, at that time I was only 18 and I didn't really know what was going on in America, because I always thought America was a heaven.
Yeah.
Nobody's hungry, nobody's deprived of anything. All the opportunities are presented. I didn't understand racism, I didn't understand child abuse, I didn't understand poverty. And so what shocked me the most when we went through Harlem, and by the instructions of the bus driver, I realized that it's not what I see, especially after you see all the fantastic things in New York City. And then at the end of the trip, that was the thing that was the most shocking.
Yeah.
So we drove through Harlem, and we see all these buildings, empty buildings, people who sit out on the streets with, probably doing nothing, and most of them are black people.
Yeah.
So then I came home, and at the end of the trip I went back to Vietnam, and I said to myself, if I ever wanted to get a chance to go back to America again, I would not be poor. First of all, I would have to get an education. As a woman, I want to prove that I'm just as good as a man, and I would have to get an education so I don't end up being poor in America. So that was kind of how my introduction to social justice.